Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody. My name is Marc Farzy, and thanks for joining me at the Steven Singer Studios. Oh, my goodness, so much to get to. Tyrese Maxey goes off again, and the Sixers lose again, unfortunately. More Ben Simmons news. Eagles playing the Broncos on Sunday, and Fletcher Cox fat shaming as he interacts with fans. We got it all for you, baby. So keep it right there. Hope you guys had a wonderful rest of your Thursday. It is a fine football Friday on the program, so we will start it off with some football conversation before we get into those 76ers and all that's being reported right now. With Ben Simmons, Quinton Michael will join the show to also help us break down Eagles, Broncos, and what the hell is going on with this Eagles defense. One thing that really jumped out to me from this interview that I want you to listen for, there's really nothing Jonathan Gannon's doing that Quinton Michael goes, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. So there's that little spoiler for you. Let's get into this. I would love to pick the Eagles in this game against the Broncos. At the end of the show, I'll give you my final prediction and my score, but I will give you this spoiler. I don't feel the Eagles are going to win this football game. I want to say that it's going to be close. I want to say that they're going to be able to hang in there and maybe make it a game late, maybe. But Jalen Hurts has not been great this year. He's been far from the problem, but he has not been great. And I think you need to be a pretty damn good quarterback to beat this defense. And I know we've talked a lot about the run game and whether or not the Eagles are going to run the ball against the sixth-ranked run defense in the NFL that the Denver Broncos have. And Vic Fangio and all that he's been able to do throughout his NFL career as a defensive coordinator. Oh, it's going to be tough. And it is going to be tough. However, what we have not stressed enough is the fact that the Denver Broncos also have the third best pass defense in the NFL, allowing a passer rating, an opposing passer rating of just 81.3 on this season, which is, again, the third best in the NFL in terms of yards per game. They're up there with some of the best as well. They're a top 8 defense in terms of passing yards allowed per game. They force turnovers. They get in the backfield for sacks, and even that's without Von Miller. I mean, they got after Dak Prescott last week without Von Miller. They might be able to get after Jalen Hurts yet again in this game coming up on Sunday at the 4:25 start time. So it's really going to be up to the Eagles to make sure they're really balancing their attack, because it's kind of pick your poison with this team. You're going to live and die by the run, you're going to live and die by the pass, because they're very good at stopping both. We talked yesterday about how Nick Sirianni was very much aware of Vic Fangio defense knows how to stop the run. So are they all of a sudden going to abandon it and go to the pass? Well, that's a whole other set of problems if that's what the Eagles end up doing. But here's what I know. The Eagles are just simply not a good enough team, as we all know, to get rid of this cliche, to show up and win. We all know that. But we also know that in order for them to win, they have to be on their best behavior. Jonathan Gannon has to have his best game plan as far as his scheme goes, which, by the way, Teddy Bridgewater is only the third best quarterback in the NFL in terms of completion percentage. So let's think about that for a second. Eagles on pace to allow the single highest opponent's completion percentage in the NFL. And the Denver Broncos have a quarterback that just happens to be the third best completion percentage in the league. So that sounds like a great time. So Jonathan Gannon has to do something to offset that. We'll talk to Quinton Michael about what they could possibly do in order to do that. We'll keep our fingers crossed for it. And then on the other side of things, you also have to have Jalen Hurts play his best game with Nick Sirianni calling his best game and Jordan Howard doing as a running back what we've seen him do over the last 2 weeks against a much better opponent. We also have to see Boston Scott involved in the game plan. We're going to have to see Kenny Gainwell pulling all the stops as well and have himself a solid game. Everybody has to be at their best if they're going to beat this Broncos team. And I'm not saying that because I think the Broncos are the Belichick Brady Patriots, or I think that they're the 80s 49ers or something, something stupid like that. I just happen to think that this is a better Broncos team than a lot of people want to give them credit for, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively speaking, they're in a great place right now, coming off of riding a high after beating the Cowboys, so we can all acknowledge that. But bottom line is you're going to have to see the Eagles play the best version of themselves, and I don't think they are going to do that. I don't think they are going to play 3 solid games in a row, offensively speaking, that is. And I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to trust his run game enough to stick with it in order to help Jalen Hurts out of certain situations where they don't have to put as much of a workload on him as they have over the beginning parts of the season and not really the last 2 games. They stick with that, which is the best version of themselves, they'll have a chance to win this game. I don't have faith in Nick Sirianni sticking with a similar game plan than he's had over the last 2 games that I believe puts his offense in the best possible position to win. I don't think he will stick with that same game plan against the Broncos, which only puts Jalen Hurts in a much more difficult situation to throw against this defense. That sets him up for failure. I'm going to cross my fingers that they have that balanced attack. And I'm not talking about balanced attack like I've said throughout the week. I don't think we'll ever see again an Eagles offense that runs the ball 25 times in the first half and only passes the ball 9 times in the first half. I don't know if I've ever seen that, and I don't know if I'm ever going to see it again after the way you saw them play against the Chargers. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, as we'll be doing a lot throughout this season, that the Eagles are able to pull out the win by having that balanced attack. You're going to have. Here's the one thing I'll say. My one bold, not only prediction, but request is that you will see Nick Sirianni run a screen to Boston Scott. You know that play that Boston Scott feels like he scores a touchdown every single time, no matter where he is on the field? That's where I see Nick Sirianni. That's what I would like to see from Nick Sirianni in this game. That's what I'm going to say is my prediction, is that Boston Scott has a screen pass reception for 50-plus yards. Boom, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk some more football with Quinton Michael, Inside the Birds podcast, a Q&A show, him and Jason Avant. So it's not just clever name. He'll be joining the show coming up in a second to help us dissect this even further. Hey, you know that whole Ben Simmons thing? Well, let me just say that. Let me just start on a positive note. Tyrese Maxey's just been balling out the last couple of games. He has been 64 points, I believe, his last couple of games. This is what I have wanted to see from Tyrese Maxey from the start of the season, really. It's what we saw, a little flash over the playoffs against the Hawks. It's certainly what was a game 6, and it's certainly what we've been seeing over the last couple of games here with what he's brought to the offense. A slashing point guard who can hit shots from the outside, hit a couple threes, play solid defense. He himself has come out many times saying how he wants to be a two-way player, and that's what you need from a point guard in the NBA, especially one that's filling in for a guy like Ben Simmons, who's a 3-time All-Star. You want to see a defensive prowess, and really nothing jumps out to me more so and sums up Tyrese Maxey's game more so than the play he had with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where the Sixers were down 2 points. He gets a block on one end, finishes it with a floater down the other end, then gets another play, actually puts the Sixers in front by 2 by getting a big bucket with another floater. Now, sometimes say, oh, floater, go strong to the hole. That's how he is going strong to the hole, and he got fouled on another play. So that's what I want to see from him. And the other night, and I might have been a little bitter because I bet his over and he didn't get it, but whatever. But it's true. It's what was happening. He was driving the lane strong, finishing soft. You have to be strong all the way. You can't finish soft. And that's what he was doing the other night. The last 2 games, driving strong, finishing strong. And that's what you want to see from a guy like Tyrese Maxey. And that's what you saw last night. Unfortunately, it didn't culminate in a win. It didn't add up to a win, but the Sixers kept on fighting. Doc Rivers pointed out during the game, and didn't like Tyrese Maxey's pace at a couple of different points. He felt like that's when the Raptors really started to make a run in the game, when he started to walk the ball up, take the foot off the gas, if you will. And that's when the Raptors were able to jump out in front. But overall, he has done everything I have wanted him to do and more so far this season, and I love to see it. Sixers now go on a 6-game road trip. Tobias Harris was back in the lineup last night. He had 19 for you. It was nice to see that, but ultimately a loss is a loss, unfortunately. So this brings me to Ben Simmons. If you haven't seen it yet, Shams Charania of The Athletic had a chance to catch up with Rich Paul. And here's a couple of excerpts. I'm going to give you 2 excerpts from the article. This is what Rich Paul had to tell Shams Charania of The Athletic. I truly believe the fines, the targeting, the negative publicity shined on the issue, obviously with Ben Simmons, that's very unnecessary and has furthered the mental health issues for Ben. Either you help Ben or come out and say he's lying. Which one is it? Let's just unpack that first excerpt for a second here. I don't believe that the Sixers believe Ben Simmons. I think the Sixers are looking at Ben Simmons and calling BS. So I agree with Rich Paul as far as that goes. I agree with Clutch Sports as far as that goes. Because I think as a city, as a fan base, where you're looking at Ben Simmons and at the very least saying, this doesn't pass a smell test. This doesn't add up. Hold on a second. We've gone through an entire summer where we watched you play the worst basketball in the biggest moment of your career and shy away from a potentially game-tying and maybe even taking a 1-point lead dunk if you get fouled. And I know it's crazy. Make a foul shot. But that's what we just saw. That's our last impression. That's the last thing we saw of Ben Simmons. And then all we hear throughout the offseason is he wants to trade. He doesn't want to play in front of Philadelphia. It's not up to him to fix his. It's not up to him to fix his trade value. He doesn't want to play with Joel Embiid. It's not conducive to his playing style. That's all we hear for a month and a half, pretty much. And then when it comes to him losing money, all of a sudden, he shows up, mental health, thrown out of practice, looking disinterested. Teammates saying, I'm done with that guy. I'm not here to babysit. That's what Joel Embiid had to say. Him telling his teammates not even to show up in Los Angeles to go visit him in his new beautiful $17.5 million mansion. And then when he addresses the team, he says he's not mentally ready to play. Not mentally ready to play. And although it's picked up steam in writing and publications saying mental health, the way this was initially covered, for the most part, was mental readiness, which I don't put in the same category of like mental health. Like when I talk about mental health, and I talk about these strides that we've taken as a society with offering our support to guys like Brandon Brooks, offering our support to guys like Lane Johnson, whoever it might be. Like we have taken huge leaps and bounds. Naomi Osaka, for instance, another person. Hey, support. Just shower them with support. Simone Biles, support. Because they have come out and they have said, hey, these are issues that I've been dealing with. It's come out. Hey, you got our support. But when it's something that seems as shady and as just flat out odd as this situation with Ben Simmons, where the money's attached to it, and that's when the reports finally started to come out. And if you're Rich Paul, and you know that your client is being dragged through the mud in the offseason, the only thing leaking out is doesn't want to play in Philadelphia, doesn't want to play in front of the Philadelphia fans, doesn't want to play for the Sixers, doesn't want to play with Joel Embiid. That's the only thing leaking out when you have the real story. I'm not telling you need to come out and say, Ben Simmons has anxiety, Ben Simmons has depression, Ben Simmons is dealing with this, that, or the other. I'm not saying you got to be specific with it. If you just say the words mental health, that's it. A month and a half ago, people feel completely different about this situation. They might still want Ben Simmons traded because of the way he played in the playoffs against the Hawks, most notably. But they don't have the venom that they have now. Right now, Ben Simmons, throughout this entire summer, has looked like a guy that just wanted to quit. That's what he's looked like. And over time, that builds up the animosity and the venom of this fan base, especially when it comes out that he doesn't want to play in front of Philadelphia fans. Oh, really? You don't want to play for the people that were cheering you while you were hitting a three against the Guangzhou Long Lions of China in an exhibition game? Like, that seems like a pretty loyal fan base to me that wants to support you and wants to see you do well. The pass to Thibault in the playoffs, Game 7, that's a different story. But if even the words mental health get uttered, whispered, a month and a half ago, we're not having this discussion. The fact that it took this long for it to come out, it's going to make people very suspicious as to how accurate the mental health reports are. Now, for everyone that is saying, oh, this is just complete BS, Ben's a liar, and just coming out and saying that and not presenting the argument of it doesn't pass the smell test. Well, for everyone saying the opposite, this is one thing that I will say that I find very interesting. In a matter of a couple of days, I believe it was 3 days, Joel Embiid went from, I don't care about that guy, I'm not here to babysit. He went from saying that at practice, the practice that Ben Simmons was thrown out of, to standing at center court addressing the fans before their home opener, saying how great it was to be back, and let's support Ben because he's still our brother, let's go, and dropping the mic and get out. So he went from I don't care about that guy to let's show him support because he's still our brother. Well, why would he do that? Well, in between, that's when Ben addressed the team. And that's when Ben said, I'm just not mentally ready to play. Again, that could mean a lot of things. I think I speak for all Sixers fans when I say I just want this to be over, whether that means Ben is still playing here. And I think the only way out of this is that he has to play. I think that's the only way out of this, and I think that's what the Sixers are saying right now. But the only way out of this, I think, is that he plays, and then he gets traded. And that means he plays for the Sixers, and then he gets traded. And while this whole thing is going on, as Rich Paul was saying, while this whole thing's going on, the only thing we hear about is that he wants to trade. So is that to imply that everything in Philadelphia, not just the fans, not just the front office, not just his teammates, is that to imply everything in Philadelphia is affecting his mental health? And if he played in Boston, he'd be fine? Because I don't know of any cure for mental health in general, and I don't know of any cure for mental health that would be you play somewhere else. That just seems like a guy who doesn't want to play in a city or play for a team, which in my opinion takes what we have done as a society, which is accept and offer encouragement for people struggling with mental health and belittle it. Because I don't know if that is a cure for Lane Johnson or Brandon Brooks or anyone who has gone through mental health issues. And I will admit to you, I have had my own struggles in the past, and I've admitted before on the show. I was able to come out on the other side of it, so I do have compassion for this. What's really difficult is asking people to believe this after a month and a half of just not wanting to play. And wanting to play, just not here for whatever reason. One more excerpt from the Shams article here. This is no longer about a trade. This is about finding a place where we can help Ben and get him back to his mental strength and get back on the floor. I want him on the floor playing the game that he loves. And I want Ben on the floor, whether that's in a 76ers uniform or any other uniform. Rich Paul to Shams Charania of The Athletic. So the good part about that, I guess, is this first part here. It's no longer about a trade. Okay, good. Let's take that off the table as one less thing to think about. One less thing off the mind of Ben Simmons, Rich Paul, and Sixers. This is about finding a place where Ben can get back to his mental strength. Well, I really only see that as being Philadelphia, because I don't know who's going to make a trade for Ben Simmons right now. I don't know who's going to make a trade for a guy they're not even sure about what he's going to play. It's a extremely odd, unfortunate situation. I'll say that. But I know Sixers fans certainly deserve better for like, when you think about the Mikell Fultz, and you think about now how this Ben Simmons situation's ending up, Joel Embiid, we look at it. I know a lot of people, we all love Joel Embiid when it comes to the physically being ready to play or being healthy to play. We're all kind of like, every time he hits the ground, we're like, is he okay? All right. Like, we have this huge concern. But it's like, man, you went through the process, and one of your first overall picks, Mikell Fultz, obviously isn't here. It looks like Ben Simmons isn't going to be here for the long term. Joel Embiid is a guy we're always afraid to get injured. I was like, all right, I guess we'll be patient when we really don't have that in us to be patient. Hey, Sixers go on this 6-game road trip. If I'm Ben Simmons, this is when I play. Because you don't have to play in front of Philadelphia fans. You can at least show that you're healthy, and maybe you can help your trade stock a little bit. The good news is that Ben has agreed to, according to the article, Ben has agreed to allow his mental health expert and the Sixers mental health expert have conversations, and it looks like they're all on the same page. The other thing that is interesting that the article points out, two last things on it. One is that Ben Simmons seems like he's afraid he's going to get fined again, or at least worried that he's going to get fined again, because they issued him a schedule with the Raptors game on it last night. Ben obviously didn't play in that game. The last time that happened, he ended up getting fined for not playing in that particular game. So that might happen again. Sixers did release the $8.25 million that he was owed that they put in escrow. So that's at least in good faith. That was something that a source told Sham, saying that, hey, look, no, we're in good faith to release the $8.25 million. So there you go. The other thing is that Rich Paul compared this to the John Wall situation in Houston, where Houston's like, John, you don't want to play? Fine, we'll still pay you. I don't see how this is comparable at all, really, because the big thing here is that Houston's not trying to win. Houston's okay with sucking. The 76ers are not only not okay with sucking, Sixers really want to win, and they really want to win during Joel Embiid's prime. So they're not about to waste years or even games on anyone like John Wall, who's just like, yeah, I'm really not going to play. Philadelphia, it kind of matters to the Sixers that they win. Before we get to our Quinton Michael interview, Fletcher Cox was rather busy yesterday. If you didn't see it, I got it for you. I'm really going to try hard here to follow the bouncing ball. Now, we've all seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We've all seen the GIF, or at least the picture of Charlie Day, right? He's got the red lines on the board, right? He looks like he's trying to be mapping out a crime scene, like something from the early seasons of Homeland with Claire Danes, right? And he's got all the lines, the red pins, and the red yarn connecting the dots. He's trying to figure it out. He's like, look at it. Look at it. I'm about to do that with Fletcher Cox here. So this is what happened, okay? See if I can sum this up for you here. So if you missed this, here it is. I got it all ready for you, almost in a PowerPoint presentation. No, there you go. So here's an innocent thing, and for those that just joined the show, I know we had a little influx yesterday. For those that are just joining the show, I really don't curse on the show. I feel like it's weird when I curse because I've been on radio and TV for a long time in this market, and the reaction I get from people when I curse is like, if someone says like, "Is your mom hot?" It's like, what? It's like, you know what, huh? Like you can't answer. Like what? It's just it's off-putting, is what I'm telling you. So I really don't curse that much. There is a curse word in this that it's you can read it, but I don't. It's not a norm for me. But just to let you know. So Devontae Smith gets asked about playing cornerback against Darius Slay. So Slay would be the wide receiver. Devontae Smith would be the corner. Role reversal, right? Devontae Smith asked about this, and here's how it went down.
We was joking about going in at wide receiver. Have you taken any reps of him going up against you as a DB?
Oh, no. I'll lock Slay up.
All right.
I'll lock Slay up. So you saw that up there at the top. Darius Slay is like, yeah, line that up, right? Line that poop up. So that got this got the ball rolling. Fletcher Cox then saw that and said, this, my money on Smitty. Okay. Innocent enough. And then this fan said this. Disgusting POS Fletcher Cox. How about saving your money that you get paid way too much child? What? Get paid way too much child for not bleeping producing, and maybe start bleeping concentrating on football? Score, kick your beeping, overpaid, stupid beeping A. Go away because you're a disgusting. There we go. So that's where that went. And may I say, that escalated quickly. Prop comedy. So then Cox reacted with this. Now, you get your teeth kicked in talking to me like that. Better stop hiding behind this keyboard, sucker. You know where I work at, boy. But wait, it gets better. That man used a lot of words and barely made a sentence, said the lovely Jess. Okay, good for you, Jess. To which Fletcher Cox totally misread and said the same reason you only post pics from the neck up. I got time today. To which she replied, bro, I was making fun of him, not you. To which Fletcher responded, my bad, I owe you a signed jersey. At Eagles, can we make this happen? First of all, like Fletcher, I don't think you have to at the Eagles. I think you work there. I think you could get this nice young lady a jersey. The anger has reached its boiling point. So here's how open Fletcher Cox has himself a good game on Sunday. Good God, man. Good God. Take something fun and innocent and all of a sudden make it trash. I do really love the idea of adding, like, I don't even I don't even publicly wish people happy birthday if I know them personally. Like love when people will tweet. I love when people will tweet each other that know each other personally, and it's like, we just text them, text her, like just shoot them a text. Like who was somebody's birthday recently, and I'll just it's their birthday, and I just text them. So just Fletcher Cox adding the Eagles. I don't know why I find that so damn humorous, but to me it's hilarious. Hey, you know it's not hilarious? Because the man's amazing. That's man Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. How's that for a transition? Steven's absolutely incredible. And right now at the holidays coming up, Steven wants to let you know that he's fully stocked. Some people worried about shortages. Not Steven. That man's ready to go. Anita cut diamond studs, absolutely flawless and beautiful to the eye, under $270. Does that price sound familiar? Because that's the same price as it was last year. Steven isn't jacking up prices. He's not trying to take advantage of it. Just wants to give you beautiful diamonds, a beautiful cost, and a beautiful price, the perfect price every single time. Some other jewelers jack things way up just so they can mark it down in front of you and make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal. Forget about it. Steven already starts down there right there. So you know when you walk in, you can relax. You don't got to worry about haggling, negotiating. You don't want to be worried about paying so much for a diamond because you can't negotiate. No, you're just getting it at the perfect price every single time. You're going to get treated like family. You're going to get a real, beautiful diamond from Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. So do what I do. Trust Steven Singer at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. The man's been in the love business in Philadelphia for over 40 years. So make sure you take advantage of the greatness that is Steven Singer as soon as possible. Make sure you're fully stocked, because he is, throughout the holidays. So you know you're ready to go right there at Steven Singer Jewelers. Also, it's no-risk shopping. That's how great it is at Steven Singer Jewelers. No risk shopping right now. I mentioned those diamond cut Anita studs. Check this out. You can trade up your diamond studs anytime and receive exactly what you paid towards them for a new pair. And all that with an unbeatable full 100-day, 100% money-back guarantee, making it no-risk shopping for the entire holiday. How amazing is that? Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this man's incredible. He does a great podcast. Quinton Michael joined the show. We talked to him yesterday, so the new episode's out if you want to check it out some point today. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's talk to our friend Quinton Michael. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, you know him from Inside the Birds podcast, as well as the Q&A show with Quinton Michael and Jason Avant. So it's not just a clever name. Quinton Michael joins us. What's up there, Quinton?
What's up? How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you coming on the show again. I needed somebody to break this down for me because I'm totally lost. Now, Quinton, I don't want to put myself at the same level as you because you're a decade-long NFL athlete plus, right? And I played freshman year in high school, but we both were safeties. When you watch this Eagles team, I'm trying to determine what the scheme is exactly. Jonathan Gannon has come out and said, "I don't have a scheme, but I kind of do." What are you seeing so far to this point from Jonathan Gannon, defensively speaking, as to what his goal is every game?
Honestly, I don't really I don't know what the scheme is. He says he has one, and I guess it's a multiple scheme. To me, it looks like he's just trying different things each game. He's trying different looks, trying different pressures, and none of them are really sticking. I will say, though, what they are doing well is they're stopping the run pretty well. So, he's got that going for him. A lot of times it's coming out of 5-man fronts. So, it's that part of it has been a positive. But outside of that, they have not really done much in terms of innovation in the secondary, in the back seven, film study, understanding where they're supposed to be, taking away certain routes. Like, they haven't really done a good job of any of that at all this season.
Steven Nelson was on my show a couple of weeks ago, and he referred to this philosophy as genius. He used that word genius. Is there anything about this that makes you go, "Oh, wow, I wish I would have done that during my career," or something like that?
No, absolutely nothing. And maybe that's a little weird coming from a guy that was in Pittsburgh, and they've actually had great defensive coordinators over the years. And so to me, from the outside looking now, I'm not in the meetings and all that stuff, but from the outside looking in and from a little, tape I'm able to look at and really break down, nothing that they're doing is really, in my opinion, genius or creative. And I've played under, Jim Johnson. I played under Sean McDermott, Ron Rivera, like very good defensive-minded coaches, Jeff Fisher. So to me, I don't see the cohesiveness between any of it. I do see cohesiveness, and like I said before, in terms of stopping the run, but outside of that, there is really no cohesion, in my opinion, and anything genius about it.
When I watched this game again, this most recent game, when I was watching it a second time, I couldn't figure out what they were trying to do against the Chargers. It looked like they weren't being aggressive. It looked like they weren't getting into the backfield to try to disrupt Justin Herbert. And then Pro Football Focus comes out saying that they blitzed more than ever. All season long, they blitzed Justin Herbert more than any other quarterback they ever blitzed, 12 rushes. Did you see that while watching the game live? Did anything jump out to you as far as trying to be aggressive with this defense?
I didn't see a ton of blitzes. Going back and rewatching it, I could say that there were quite a few. But so to me, I don't consider what they were doing to be a straight out blitz. I think it was more they were adding rushers and trying to confuse Herbert. Especially, I think it was Brian Westbrook on his Instagram page was breaking down one play where there was a blitzer. I forget the number it was, but it was a blitzer coming kind of late and then dropping out Derek Barnett on the backside. And so to me, that's called a fire zone, right? So you're blitzing from one side and you're dropping the guy out. And so a lot of times when you're doing a fire zone, though, it's an overload blitz, meaning you're bringing two guys to one side, to the strong side, trying to overload and then bring a guy on the backside. So by bringing one blitzer and then dropping Derek Barnett, who isn't a linebacker, isn't used to dropping, really doesn't, in my opinion, consider being a blitz, because now you're still bringing four rushers, and now you've gotten a defensive end who could be adding to the rush, but you got him dropping out and trying to cover someone. And that's not something he does on his own. So, to me, I do think that they were, quote unquote, adding pressure or blitzing, but I don't think it was as effective because they weren't committing to it, meaning adding extra people to the rush. So,
it seems like, in my idiot brain, all right, I'm not afraid to admit that, it seems like that's like a half-hearted blitz, where it's like we're just trying to catch you off guard, but we don't want to give you the numbers, behind our defense, in other words.
Absolutely. And the sad part about it is on a lot of those plays, they actually had the look that they wanted. I think they did confuse Herbert a few times, but then in the back end, the secondary wasn't understanding what was being taken away and where they were trying to force the ball to. It's like, for example, on that play, the corner, Steven Nelson, is supposed to trap the flat route by the tight end coming out. So I think he got a little spooked because the receiver was screaming up the field and it kind of pulled him out. So understanding what you're supposed to take away in the blitz, if he's in the flat right there and Herbert throws that's a pick six the other way. So I think it's a combination of, secondary not understanding, or back seven, I should say, not understanding what we're trying to take away, and then also not really committing full out to the blitz. You're basically trying to say, well, we're going to trick him into making a mistake instead of we're coming after you, figure it out. So that's, to me, what that's about.
See, that just seems like it's a defense that I've said it a million times so far this season. I get the feeling from this defense, they want to give you opportunities as an offense to make mistakes, which means, in essence, they're giving you plays. And That's why the completion percentage is so crazy. But when is the defense going to force you into making that mistake, into almost haunting you into making that mistake? And that's what I haven't seen of a lot from this season, if at all.
Yeah. And that's, there's times where you can kind of trick them into doing things. There's times where you can set traps and that whole deal. But there, again, defense is defense. It's blocking, tackling, and getting to the quarterback. And there's no like trick way to do it. You just got to get out there and get aggressive and go after guys. And if you don't really believe in your secondary, if you don't believe that those guys can hold up in the back end, then what are they even out there for, right? So, at some point, something's got to give. You can't just trick your way into, winning a game. Sometimes you got to take a chance and let those guys, swim or sink or swim on their own. And that's really what we've been, I think, just not myself, but just fans in general of the game. Like Philly fans understand the game. They know, they see what's going on. And you're not really tricking anybody in the NFL. You're not tricking anyone in the stands or at home watching. Like, there's only one way to play defense, and you got to play it aggressively.
Absolutely. So now I'm worried, and I don't go into anything worried or scared, but Teddy Bridgewater, just to give you the numbers real quick, it goes Kyler Murray at like 72.7. Then it goes Russell Wilson at like 72 flat, and then it's Teddy Bridgewater at 70 in terms of completion percentage, which the Eagles are on a pace right now to set the record high for completion percentage allowed by a defense. Should I be shaking in my boots right now? And what do you see the Eagles doing different, if anything, to offset that trend?
Yeah, we definitely should be a little worried. Teddy's been around the game for a long time. He has never really kind of ascended to that star level, but he's a very good quarterback. He's very intelligent. He knows where to put the ball. And so that right there, if you look at what Justin Herbert did last week, it was the same type of offense: short, quick throws, get the ball out fast. And so I think the way the Eagles need to counter that is you've got to, as Jason Avant says, you got to put hands on it. You got to touch the receiver. You got to get in their face. You got to get the timing off. You've got to make it so where, the receiver doesn't feel comfortable coming in and out of his breaks. You got to make it so the quarterback doesn't feel comfortable seeing the read. And when Teddy has struggled the most is when you're forcing him to throw the ball down the field. When he's got those short intermediate pass throws, that's when he's at his best. So you got to take the middle of the field away with the linebackers with good drops and understanding where to be, and then the secondary got to start getting in press coverage and taking chances and affecting the route down the field.
I always enjoy asking defensive linemen and defensive backs this question, like, who helps more? It's almost like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, who helps the pass rush more? Is it the defensive linemen, or is it the cornerbacks or the defensive backs? I feel like if the defensive backs aren't playing press coverage in a blitz or even in a 5-man rush, maybe, or even a 4-man rush, then you're not helping the defensive lineman at all. If you're sitting back in coverage 5, 6, maybe 10 yards off the line of scrimmage or off your receiver, I feel like there's no chance for a defensive lineman or even a linebacker or even a blitzing corner to get into the backfield on those particular plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And two things about that. Just because it's a blitz, you don't necessarily have to play press. You could do that way. But one of the best, a lot of people don't know this, one of the best press corners I've ever seen is Asante Samuel, right? But he played off coverage because he was jumping routes. Like, you can affect the quarterback by jumping routes and understanding route stems as well. So, you could play off, like, let's say I'm Steven Nelson. I can play off at like 6, 7 yards, knowing that we have a blitz, but understanding that the ball's got to come out fast. So any type of upfield route, I'm just going to sit on it and take my chance. And if it let's say it breaks to a slant, I can jump the slant knowing I have a safety over top. So it's just different things. It's different things like that the secondary needs to do to get better, is understand what we're trying to take away, understand that we want the ball to come out fast, understanding that if, let's say, it's a double move with a blitz on and I jump the slant and it goes over my head for a touchdown, that's not my fault as a secondary player. I can truly say that I knew the blitz was coming. It must have got picked up. Someone inside didn't do their job. I jumped the route that I thought it was going to be. It should have been a slant. It wasn't a slant. Let's go on to the next play. So Start taking chances, guys. Like, start getting aggressive, because, sitting back ain't helping either, right? Sitting back and letting them complete a pass and tackle them isn't helping as well.
Gotcha. Speaking of which, I was going to ask about this real quick. The Mike Williams deep ball over Darius Slay before he got injured, obviously. Was he supposed to have over-the-top help on that, did you think? The deep ball 49 yards down the left side of the field?
On that play, I was taking my son to get a hot dog. So I didn't quite see it. But my guess, based on what I saw on that play, is there probably should have been a middle safety, because it looked like Slade was playing outside coverage. But I'll try to look at that play again. I'm sorry, I don't. No.
But more importantly, how's your son take his hot dog?
Yeah, playing, man. Can you believe that?
Playing with all the condiments available in the stadium to go playing? That's it out. Come on, man.
By the way, if he ever
I
wants to
raised them all wrong.
that's the defining moment of a good parent, whether how your kid takes the hot dog. And if he wants to go ketchup on a hot dog, this is America, damn it.
Yeah.
Have at it. Anyway, all right. So we do have cause for concern when it comes to a game like this with Teddy Bridgewater. That I understand. I do want to ask you this: in your playing days, if I would have told you, if I would have showed up at the NovaCare complex and been like, "Q, I'm from the future, and in the future, you and Jason Avant are going to be doing this podcast. It's going to be a huge hit, and you're going to be talking about the players that are playing in the future in 2001, right? 2021." What would you have told me then? Would you told me I'm crazy, or that's something I always wanted to get into? Not podcast. No one knew what a podcast was anyway. But just in terms of being in the media covering the sport, would you have believed me then?
Absolutely not. Well, maybe on TV or a different avenue, maybe a little bit, but I never thought that I would be doing this over the internet in the comfort of my own, being able to just say what I want to say. So, it's this whole ride has been awesome and amazing. And if you said that to me in the past, I'd be like, nah, you're crazy, man.
I'm always curious because I've had my chance to work with some of your former teammates, and Hugh Douglas was the first one I worked with, and then Trey Thomas and Hollis Thomas being another one. And all those guys, I'm always interested in seeing an athlete apply their mindset and their work ethic to this totally different avenue. How do you prepare for a show? And like when you watch a game now, are you taking notes in terms of what you're going to say about it? Like what's your process like in getting ready for Q&A with you and Jason Avant?
Yes, it's a lot of fun. So what I try to always watch the game live and try to get the vibe of the game and the feel of the game, listen to the announcers. And then I go back and I watch the all 22 tape. I usually do that on, Monday night or Tuesday. And then Jeff Mosher always kind of sends us kind of like an outline or topics that we should kind of look at or talk about. And then for the most part after that, it's all done. Like me and Jason are really good. We play well off each other. And we just kind of talk about the topics, but we talk about it the way we see it and what we saw and kind of our mindset of watching it. And it's actually been really cool. We've had a lot of fun with it. I was actually I was more shocked at a lot of the questions. We've gotten a lot of questions from people, and they send them in, and they're very, very thoughtful questions, and they're things that often as players we kind of take for granted. And as fans, it's stuff that they never really experienced. So it's been fun to kind of be able to connect with the fans in that way as well.
Quinn, last one for me, man. And I know a lot of times people could say, that guy doesn't need my advice. But if you were standing next to Jonathan Gannon and he was getting ready for this game against Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver Broncos, what would you tell him? What would you say going into this particular game? This is what you need to do. What would you want to tell him?
I would say, Coach, continue doing what you're doing to stop the run. It's been working. It's been positive. I would say on money downs, third down, third and long, those type of situations where we need to play, we need to start bringing overload blitzes. We need to start changing up our coverages. We need to start not necessarily just playing man just to play man, but we need to affect the quarterback. And then lastly, on third down, let that defensive line go. Like put them all in, put both Hargrave, put Fletch in 3 techniques, which are outside shade of the guards, put our defensive ends in 9s and just get after it. And then let it go from there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Anything that ends with get after it, I'm all for. Okay, one last thing. Will they run the ball against the Broncos? Will they actually run the ball with Jordan Howard?
They better. They better run the ball. Like that was the one thing I was really astonished to see in the game was, I mean, they were running all over the Chargers. Now their run defense isn't great, right? But it was different looks, different movements, different types of run schemes, and it was working. It started wearing the Chargers down. So I would definitely love to see more of that down in Denver.
Quinton Michael, always great, man. Always great talking to you, my friend. Appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out. He's part of the Inside the Birds podcast network and web show as well. Pre-game shows. You and Quinton Michael you and Jason Avant do the Q&A show, which is great. Fans need to check that out. When do you guys drop your next episode?
Just dropped this morning today, so go ahead and check it out.
All right, there you go. Good one. There you go for your content consumption later in the day. Quinton Michael, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Quinton Michael joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.
Always great talking to the great Quinton Michael on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. The thing that really jumped out to me there was, again, as I said at the top of the show, Jonathan Gannon, not very impressive. And I know Joe Banner just went on with my friend John Clark on his podcast, Takeoff, and he said that Jonathan Gannon, he was like shocked that Jonathan Gannon wasn't doing that great a job because everyone wanted Jonathan Gannon as an offensive coordinator going into the season, and the Eagles got him. Lucky us. I also loved his reaction to Steven Nelson's comments about how Jonathan Gannon's defense is genius. His words, not mine. Genius. Steven Nelson's words, not mine. Who I actually like. I really enjoyed that conversation with Steven Nelson. Interesting guy. But the genius comment was, oh, I'm sorry, what was that? And then I operate under the assumption that I'm just a big idiot. And it's a pretty safe bet. And when I watch a football game, I get these, it's like everybody. You get your own impressions from the game. You get your own ideas. Something gets in your head. And I'll watch it, and I'm like, they're not being aggressive. No one's getting in the backfield. What the hell's going on here? And you would see after the game that they were actually the most aggressive they have ever been all season. Jeff McClain put out the tweet from Pro Football Focus that said they had blitzed more than they ever had, 12 times. Which, by the way, just by record, just for comparison, the Dolphins blitzed Lamar Jackson last night with corners. This is just blitzes with corners. Eagles blitzed 12 times, most they did all season against Justin Herbert. Dolphins blitzed Lamar Jackson last night with just corners 24 times. What? Anyway, so I'm watching the game. I'm like, they don't look like they're being aggressive. Blitzes don't look like they're really blitzes. And then Quinton Michael watches it, a decade-plus safety in the NFL, and he's like, yeah, but I wouldn't call those blitzes. And I'm like, thank God. Okay, so I'm not that big of an idiot. If this guy, who played 10-plus years in the NFL, 8 seasons with the Eagles, looks at this situation and goes, they're blitzes, but they're not really blitzes. And I'm like, it's not even a Jim Johnson thing. And I've told you guys before about the conversation I had with Hollis Thomas, where Hollis just had all those arrows pointing at the quarterback. This is what you need to do. And I'm like, that just looks like mayhem. And he's like, yeah, exactly, mayhem. And I'm like, all right. So that's not what it looks like right now with under Jonathan Gannon, and I'm not looking for it to be that. I'm just looking for it to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more aggressive, and force the mistake. Thank you, Quinton Michael. Every once in a while on defense, you got to be the ones dictating play. Thank you, Quinton Michael. Thanks for stopping by. Q&A show available right now inside the Birds. Make sure you guys check that out and stuff. We will get to our social media check-in coming up in a second. Everyone's favorite part of the show, no doubt. But let me tell you about the great sponsors. For instance, the people that sponsor our guest line, Rothman Orthopaedics. Rothman Orthopaedics. Remember the old you? Remember the one who didn't put up with a fickle knee or a finicky hip? Or remember that shoulder that was supposed to do what the shoulder used to do and now it doesn't? Well, that's where you got to call Rothman Orthopaedics. The Rothman approach to orthopedics is there to get you back to being you. Back to running, walking, working, and playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. How about BetQL? BetQL had it last night, by the way. Thursday Night Football. Should have paid attention to BetQL. Crazy game. BetQL had the right bets in place for you. Here's what you do. Download the BetQL app. And it's the only app you'll need to make the smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports. And they give you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, and player props. Don't want to use the model and prefer to do your own research? BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, even a leaderboard to help you track your own success. Head to the App Store right now or Google Play Store to download the BetQL app. How about our friends at Steak in Maine? Oh, delicious. Heart of Northeast Maryland. Steak in Maine. Prime cuts of meat, fresh seafood, daily prepared. At the ready. Just delicious prepared sushi. Freshly made right in front of you. Sushi bar, steakhouse, casual sports bar. They got it all. Upscale steakhouse. Beautiful. I always recommend the 2-pound tomahawk steak from Steak in Maine. just fantastic, with a fine Pinot Noir from Cavada Cellars Wines. Anthony Cavada, my man Tony Cavada, he runs the place. It's awesome. Heart of Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Cooking Channel and the Travel Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmain.com for more information. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Also, you got to check out WinView. Oh, if you had a rough go of it last night, maybe your fantasy football day. I got Justin Tucker on my team. Last night, not a good night for Justin Tucker. But here's what you can do. Not looking so good in the fantasy football week? Challenge a friend or a buddy to a WinView challenge. It's the only game where fans can take on other fans and decide once and for all who knows the most. See if your friends can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk about how well they know the sports scene. So download the WinView app right now. Challenge them. It's not a gaming site. It's not a sports book. It's not a daily fantasy. What it is, it's a site where you can challenge. It's an app where you can challenge your friends to see how much they know about sports. It's great. It's like putting a gentleman's bet in writing. Download the WinView app right now. You want to break up the monotony of family dinners and get-togethers? Holidays right around the corner. Now you got something else to talk about, something fun to talk about, what we all love, sports. And you can win real money prizes from WinView. Download the WinView app right now and have yourself a good time. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience, covering all that there is to talk about on the Philadelphia sports scene. All right, now let's check in with our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Main at steakandmain.com. Let me just pull it up over here, ladies and gentlemen. First off, hey, let me just say this. Got the mic working nice. You probably noticed during the Quinton Michael interview, my audio was terrible. But we got it going, finally. I was responding to some of you great people during the interview via the chat. So I just want to make sure that I get to as many people as possible with our growing numbers in the chat. Ryan, I know you're recruiting people. I very much appreciate that. Let me just say this. For April, for Matt, for Mally, for all you wonderful people, I just want to bring everybody else up to speed real quick. There's a couple of rules of Chat Club, okay, on the Farzy Show. A couple of rules. Number one, even though he's a good personal friend of mine, and I really do love the guy. Yeah, I've known him since I was a writer at Temple University when I was just a wee lad, 21 years old, writing for the Temple column. Mike Sealski, you have to hate Mike Sealski. These aren't the rules I made. I didn't make the rules to the chat. It's not even my chat. It's your chat. I'm just monitoring it throughout the program. So you have to hate Mike Sealski. You have to think that I smoke copious amounts of weed. I don't. When it comes to that, I'm pretty straight edge. Whiskey, and Jack Daniels in particular, that's my Achilles heel. Miss Guzzi, all right? Now, you have to believe I smoke weed. You have to hate Mike Sealski. Other rules? Are there any other rules that I'm missing here, people? Just remind me. Oh, if a guy named Luigi ever enters the chat again, he always wants a weather girl. We got one weather girl one time. It remains the show's greatest accomplishment. So there you go. So let's... Mally, April, Dan Schwartz, as I mentioned yesterday, who hasn't been in our chat recently. He is our unofficial art director of the show. So I think everybody that brings you up to speed. Benny is a guy that always comments. So I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page now. Okay, there we go. So let's start it out here. Who do we have up for? Wait, that can't be the beginning of the chat. Now it's time for our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Main, steakandmain.com. At Farzy Show. Ronald, why thank you? I don't know why we're saying thank you. I don't know what I'm missing here, but I'm missing something. All right. Pretzel bites and rum. Okay. All right. Mopar, I'm down with that. Mike, what's happening inside the Birds? The best thing about the Eagle season? Mike, you're absolutely right. April, man, someone send me some soft pretzels and Wawa. April's no longer in our area. She's in the Carolinas there, folks. She misses a lot of that we have up here. And it is stuff that we would all miss if we weren't here either. The Mr. Snuffy. Anything with rum. Laugh out. I'm not a rum guy. My grandfather was a big rum and Coke guy. And he would do a shot of Jack Daniels. That's maybe where I got that from later in life. But I've never been a big rum guy. I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me. John Cheeseborough. Great name. Furthermore, if you've never tried the pretzels, what are we talking about here? Pretzels with buttercream dip? Don't judge me, but try it. All right, I'll have one. Rob, what's poppin'? Mopar, Wawa is the devil. No, mama, Wawa. It's not. I just love that you're reading it. I'm reading this now as Bobby Boucher. Wawa is the devil. No, mama. Wawa's not the devil. You are. Medulla oblongata. I'm going to have to try that. I don't know how this started, but it started. Q is taking his son to get a hot dog during the play with no ketchup. What a life, says Rob. I missed the pretzel guy. The tax. What the hell is happening here? Tacony Palmyra Bridge. Peter, nobody goes over the Tacony Palmyra Bridge. Not even people from Tacony or Palmyra. I have a soft pretzels from Wawa. It's the love of my life. It's a love-hate relationship for me. Let me just say this. So I went to Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Doylestown. That was my grade school. And I don't know if this is just a Catholic school thing. I'm pretty sure it was because I also did three years of public school that I refer to my 3 years off for good behavior, 3 years out of the clink for good behavior. We didn't have soft pretzels there. They didn't sell soft pretzels. At Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and I know my other friends that went to other schools, people that are outside Region 20. Those people. Those scallywags. Here's what I know. They used to charge us $0.25 for a pretzel. And they would come in these little like drawstring bags and sell you a pretzel, and it had like your homeroom on it. And then you would have to pay $0.25 to like the homeroom representative, which was me one year. You pay $0.25 and they give you a pretzel. But the best thing was waiting for the last pretzel, because the last pretzel at the bottom had all the salt that peeled, that like poured down on that one pretzel. Oh man, there was nothing better in my 12-year-old life than rocking that last pretzel. Ooh, that was fantastic. There was no condiments served, though. There was no mustard packets, which was hogwash. Anyway, we were paying good money for that tuition. Sorry about that. That's my pretzel rant. Strike that. I'm out on the regular soft pretzels. Wawa soft pretzels are good. They are good. Disco Tank. Mally, we need Disco Tank. Peter, amen. The bread down here sucks. Care package sent to Peter. A copy Farzy show. Thank you. April, there you are saying I live in the Disco Tank is needed. You're absolutely right. Closest Wawa is Virginia, 3 hours away. April, you poor thing. Hate a fickle knee. Nobody needs a fickle knee, Marc. You're damn right. Mr. Stubby. Why can't I feel like I'm missing more of the chat? Nearest Wawa, 90 minutes away, Peter. Mopar, January. All right. For those that don't know how to pronounce April's name, April, please, if I get this wrong, correct me. April's last name is pronounced Fuchs. Fuchs. I believe it's a German last name. And there's two, I think it's supposed to have like the two dots. I know in Spanish they got the little tilde thing that you rock. But like in German, I think it's got the two dots over top. Whatever the hell that's called. I don't know. So there you go. April, Asheville, World Coming Down. Met my wife at Wawa. That's the best thing to come from there. All right, World Coming Down. Question, were you drunk? Because I've told the story before. When I used to do updates overnight at WIP, I used to leave and go to Wawa like 2 a.m. And I always really enjoyed the guys still shooting their last shot. And it was just beautiful. It was like a rom-com needs to be made out of that. Thomas Preach, brother. What is Thomas preaching about? I missed so much of the show this morning. Thomas! Everyone seems to know about Wawa. That's because Wawa is amazing. Saw a ton of Royal Farms. Royal Farms is legit. Their chicken is legit. You guys know me. My mom's from Baltimore. I see Royal Farms all the time. This just started on a Wawa thing. Oh, April, I didn't realize your dad was retired Master Sergeant. And you're a military brat. I always love that phrase. Thank your father for his service, especially with yesterday being Veterans Day. I got a little story in our morning rush segment about Veterans Day that you guys will enjoy, or about a veteran, very special veteran in my life. Good job, Ryan. Nice work, Ryan. Sealski is the devil. There we go. Nah, you're good. Don't disrespect OG April. OG April's good. Ray's a frequent commenter as well. Ray, I like to refer to in a very affectionate way, the lurker. He lurks and then he pounces. Farzy, you'll eventually get used to this. We jump topics a lot. Okay, easy enough. That's fine. I was not drunk, Farzy. Probably stoned, though. All right, that's fine. Good for you. Still shooting your shot. See, now, I missed a lot of this chat. I don't know where it went. Top of the chat. Let me. I'm on something different here because my Surface died. That's a whole other story. Live chat. Oh man, Jay Vegas has come on. Subaru Farm. Yeah, I'm only getting some of the chat, so I'm sorry. John Cheeseborough, thank you. Oh, interesting. I should change my settings. That would help. You guys should have seen me and PJ. PJ is producer Jim. That's the other thing I wanted to tell you guys. PJ and I, so I get this new microphone, Shure microphone. It's like the best one you can get, right, for something like this. And I have this little interface, whatever, I don't know, box, what the hell you call it. And trying to figure it out last night it was a lot. And we're like over FaceTime trying to figure it out. It ended up being something stupid. It's because I'm a big fat idiot. It's got nothing to do with PJ. So there you go. Anyway, thanks everyone that checked in on our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Let's jump into our morning rush segment brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Hey, did you see this yesterday? Howie Roseman having some fun with himself. Now, apparently Howie's now going on scouting missions, and he doesn't usually do that, but now he's going on scouting missions to look at quarterbacks. And that was Howie at a game the other day, looking at quarterbacks. The only reason I bring this up, and for those that have watched the show, you know what a big fan I am of Jalen Hurts. Do I think he's the guy for the next 10 years, 15 years? No, I do not think he's the franchise quarterback going forward. But trying to evaluate him in this one isolated year with getting thrown into the situation that he's been thrown into, I think he's played very well. I do not think he has been the problem for the Eagles. Do I think he can play better? Absolutely. I'm also the guy that points out when he misses guys in the end zone, like Devontae Smith, most recently against the Chargers, like when he overthrew Zach Ertz earlier in the season in the end zone. There's been multiple situations that we could point to where he needed to be better. And you have to take it under these pretenses. Jalen Hurts is up against 3 first-round picks. That's a lot to be up against. It's not just what you could draft with those 3 first-round picks. It's what you could get with those three first-round picks. Russell Wilson, you think the Seahawks won't look at you with 3 first-round picks and go, sure, take them, enjoy. You think the Packers wouldn't find their way out of an Aaron Rodgers situation with 3 first-round picks? Now, a lot of those players would want to go to a contender. The Eagles don't look like a contender right now, but you know who would help that? Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. That's who would help that. So that's what they're up against. Just found it interesting that now it's news that he's going out there and going on these scouting missions, which is not on the reg for a guy like Howie Roseman. Senior Bowl? Sure. Going around looking at people with binoculars. And by the way, here's where I'll give Howie credit. He's doing that on purpose. He knows that's going to get seen in Philadelphia, and we're all going to be laughing our asses off. So it's either one of two things, as far as I think. It's either he's doing it on purpose to be funny, and we've all heard Howie try to make it's like pepperoni or sausage, man. Like we've all heard that before. Like he tries to be funny like that. Or he's trying to disguise himself, which I actually like that idea better. Oh, I'm not scouting a quarterback. I'm not even Howie Roseman. Fake mustache, whole thing. It'd be great. Here's my story for you, and to everyone. For Veterans Day, thank you for everyone that has served. If you guys are like me, you grew up with a lot of like World War II veterans in your family, and I have more modern war veterans than that. My cousin Tim, my cousin Matt, just incredible. My cousin Matt was in the Air Force. My cousin Tim is a Marine. He's not in the Marines anymore, but once a Marine, always a Marine. Semper Fi, as it goes. And I got Coast Guard blood. My grandfather who passed away last February. He was a Coastie. So I grew up with the military influence heavy in my family. And I was just some schmuck on a microphone. But I will tell you this one story about my beloved Uncle Frank, who's about to turn 100. And Uncle Frank was like a grandfather to me growing up. And I love the guy. And anyway, Uncle Frank, he won't tell me stories about the war itself, but he'll tell me stories about women he met. And he told me this one story where he met this woman in Belgium. And he had just got done fighting in the Battle of the Bulge. And jokes implied. And he met this one woman And she basically said, Frank, promise yourself to me. Promise yourself to me. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then, like, as he'll tell me, I was promised to a lot of broads back then. You know that thing? Anyway, he and this woman really hit it off. And they apparently exchanged photos. And on the back of the photo, this woman wrote, Francois, our liberator. Apparently, she wrote on the back of the photo that he gave her. Now, why did she write that? Now, it means our liberator. She wrote that because he and his buddy, after the Battle of the Bulge, get assigned to find a town for his battalion to like chill out in, like R&R, rest and recuperation, as Uncle Frank called it. So anyway, he and his buddy roll into town, and apparently there were still Nazis left in that town. But when they saw the battalion truck, they were like, "Oh, the Americans coming! We got to get the hell out of here!" And all the Germans left. So they get off the truck, and these people in Belgium are going bonkers that the Americans are here. Oh, yay, we're been liberated by these two guys that were just looking to take a nap. Germans had no idea that it was just two guys in a truck. So they come down, and they hit it off. Everyone thinks that they're saving them, and they look at each other like, hey, we know where the rest of the battalion's hanging out for 2 weeks. So they come down. They stay in the town for 2 weeks. They Uncle Frank and this lady hit it off. Uncle Frank never comes back. He ends up meeting my beautiful Aunt Maria, and they go on and they have a life together. And, you know, my cousins are born and the whole thing, and, you know, whatever. So it's a beautiful story. So sure enough, one of my Uncle Frank's daughters, my second cousin, she goes back to this town 50 years later. And she's telling this story of this American soldier that came here after the battle in Bastogne and all that. And these women hear her tell the story, and they go, I think we know who you're talking about. And I think the story goes, this woman that my Uncle Frank met all those years ago owned a bakery in the town. And she goes to the bakery, meets the woman, tells the story. She goes, oh my God, Francois. And the woman lived upstairs. She goes upstairs. She comes down with a picture of my Uncle Frank. And on the back of it written, Francois, our liberator. How amazing is that? 50-some years later. And then the family of the girl was like, so why didn't that guy come back? He said he was coming back. Never came back. And my cousin had to be like, well, she met my mom. Like, how amazing is that? Anyway, happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all that have served. And also happy birthday. Soon to be happy birthday from Uncle Frank as well. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you guys chiming in. Really support this. Really appreciate the support. Ryan, some new people in the chat. Really appreciate it. Mr. Snuffy, Mopar, all yous guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. The official prediction for this Eagles-Broncos game. The Broncos will beat the Eagles. Now, keep in mind, last week, I said 27-23. Samsonite. I was way off by 1 point. The Broncos will beat the Eagles by a score of 24-17. Womp, womp, womp. That was a sound effect from my mouth. Thanks to Jim Hyden. Jim Hyden produced the program. Much supported, much appreciated. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Take it easy.